You're well known for your time in the CIA because people are so intrigued and compelled by it. How long were you in the CIA?
I was actually in the CIA for a comparatively short period. I was only in for 7 years. Many people make a 30 or more year career out of CIA. So it was really quite a small blip in terms of my overall life. I wore the U.S. military uniform for 7 years before that as well. So 14 years total spent in service to the United States.
And what is the CIA?
So the CIA is the United States' intelligence, foreign intelligence collection platform. Their primary agency deemed with collecting foreign secrets that have any kind of impact in American national security. So if you think about it, there are multiple what's called intelligence agencies in what's known as the intelligence community, or the IC. CIA is just one of those 36-ish community members in the IC. However, it is the one charged with centralizing all of the intelligence collected, hence the Central Intelligence Agency. So it's the hub in a large wheel of intelligence collection.
Is that what a spy is? Is it the same thing as being a spy?
So I'll geek out with you a little bit here because terminology is really very important. So there are spies, and spy is a vernacular that's used in common conversation that doesn't really have a definition in terms of the intelligence or espionage profession. You have handlers, you have assets in terms of traditional espionage. Handlers are officers who collect intelligence. Assets are foreigners who provide intelligence to the handler. So a CIA officer or an MI6 officer, a Mossad officer, an MSS officer, depending on the country, these are officers who collect secrets. They are therefore handlers. Mm-hmm. And then all the people who provide them secrets are considered assets. Traditionally speaking, when you talk about a spy, some people think a spy is an asset or a handler, either someone who provides information or someone who collects information.
Okay.
And the term spy is just confusing enough that oftentimes people will project their own opinions on top of that word because they don't understand the real nuance of espionage.
So I thought of a spy as someone that goes to another country and collects information secretly and then sends it back to the country they came from.
So technically that is an intelligence operative,
okay,
or an intelligence officer, also known as an operator, or in media, an operative. Sometimes it's also called an agent, right? An intelligence agent. These are all kind of terms that get nebulous, but what you are describing is a trained intelligence officer. No matter what country you're in, whether you're in, it doesn't matter what intelligence profession you're in either, and there are multiple types of intelligence. There's human intelligence, signals intelligence, measurements intelligence. Anybody who travels to collect secrets on behalf of their country is an intelligence officer.
Is that what you were?
That's what I was.
You started a company after leaving the CIA called Everyday Spy.
Correct.
For someone that's just clicked on this podcast now, who's trying to understand the value that they're going to get from you by understanding the work that you do at Everyday Spy, what are they going to get from this conversation?
This conversation is designed for me, to be able to explain how spy skills have a very real value in breaking everyday barriers. And that's the mission of my company at Everyday Spy. We use spy education to break barriers, social barriers, financial barriers, educational barriers, cultural barriers, language barriers. If there is a barrier in life, I've made it my mission in my company to break that barrier using a proven real-world skill or technique from espionage.
And what sort of means is that to what end? So if I'm, the average Joe listening to this now, when you say break barriers, what are those barriers that I'm going to be able to break in my life?
So I intentionally use the term breaking barriers because we all have different barriers. What the reality of life is that we all come into barriers that are similar, but we come into those barriers at different times. For some people, there's a barrier in income that they're born into. For other people, the barrier that they're born into is that they don't have a father. For other people, they come into a financial barrier when they're 18 and they have to leave home. Some people don't ever know financial barriers, but they do know educational barriers because they suffer from dyslexia or they suffer from ADHD. There are people who have barriers that are due to anxiety. The reality is there's really 12 or so barriers that we will all experience in our life.